Forspoken was a game that was hyped up to be something of a new coming in era in gaming. This was supposed to set the golden standard for gaming going forward and from this day on. And we had been hyped up about this game for years. A lot of people awaited its arrival on PS5, and a lot of people, when finally playing it, realized that it was a very bad game. And for anyone defending Forspoken, at least let me tell you why it's a bad game. And I also have a debate that I saw someone try to make, and I can easily debunk, but we'll get to that later. But first off, what is Forspoken? Forspoken follows Frey, who finds herself in a magical world of I don't care. For context, she's originally from New York, so she's got that street tough attitude. I don't know, that was my best New York. I'm sorry. They're probably gonna hate me for that one. But Frey finds herself in this magical world where a magical brace that locks to her arm allows her to use magical spells for defense. That's your main combat in the game, is magic via this brace. And true, you learn new spells as the game goes on, but that's not the point right now. As the story goes on, you find that it's a very sinister plot, delved in conspiracy and decay, and one person's real, strive for power in the end of it. And of course, what does Frey do, being the hero of the story? Don't care. Gotta get back to New York, because apparently somehow that rat-infested hole that is New York is better than this beautiful, beautiful fantasy land that's dying to a decaying darkness that's swallowing its people whole. Priorities, people, am I right? Now, I always said there's only two redeeming qualities about this game. The voice acting and the graphics. Everything else is pure crap. The combat is very lackluster. The combat is basically spam as many magic spells as you can. Honestly, it looks like a Destiny raid on crack. That's what it feels like. You're just spamming crap, hoping to pray in God. Like, you know how whenever you watch a Destiny raid, people are always like running special builds and special guns, yet from an outsider who doesn't understand it, it just looks like someone shooting a lot of crap and throwing a lot of nades. That's what it felt like. Just endlessly spamming stuff. Now, from the very beginning, Frey is very unlikable. She's very brash and she's very pessimistic, as well as having this bipolar switch between sarcastic and hopeful to just being downright rude to everyone. There's literally a scene where her and the Brace are sneaking through a town square after she escapes public execution or imprisonment, I forget which one it is. But from this, the Brace is the only person that can talk to her, and she's the only one that can hear the Brace. So, when the Brace is like, I prefer we use a stealth approach to this instead of going full balls to the walls and alerting everyone to our attention, Frey, for some reason, to prove how rude she is, just says, well, maybe if you shut up, I can focus and get us out of here. No one else can hear the Brace but her. Why is this even in the game? And I have heard people say that the voice actress that does Frey's voice, which she did a phenomenal job, bravos, nothing against the voice actress. I blame the writing. The writing is god-awful for this game. It seems like something an edgy 16-year-old would write. Something where it's like, yeah, swearing, tough protagonists swear all the time, and they treat others like crap. Yeah, it's awesome. But back to the voice actress. I heard that they actually modeled Frey after the voice actress who voiced Frey, which I have to say is the biggest slap in the face to the voice actress if this is how dirty of a character you're gonna make. It's not hard to make a likable character. It's quite easy. You just have to make them relatable, flawed in some way. They have to some way be relatable, but somehow overcome that. But for this, Frey was absolutely flawless. It was dumb. It was pathetic. And it felt like everyone around her, including her, was useless. It's hard to make a game where everyone feels useless. The people depend on Frey to save their world, and Frey depends on them to get her home, but then everyone's like, well, if you stop the darkness, we can get you home. Frey's like, no, 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 get me home first, and then then I won't stop the darkness. It's like, this is supposed to be the hero, the protagonist of the story, and by the end of it, she's supposed to have this change of heart where she learns she was born in this fantasy world, but it makes no... It's like suddenly she has a care for this place. It's almost like, screw New York. my birth father's there. I've never met him, but I know he's there. But my mother was one of these people, and she somehow parallel dimension hopped into New York and, you know, did the mattress Congo with my father and created me and then took me back here and then shipped me off to New York when she died. I'm just going on a tangent at this point. Also, let it be known that Square Enix themselves had come out and said that the sales of Forspoken have been very lackluster, to say the least. And I'm sorry, when a gaming company comes out and says that their sales are lackluster and that they screwed up on a game, maybe the players should stop defending said game when the literal gods that created it are saying that it is trash. And it was at this point I was like, Forspoken is a really bad game. I don't see how anyone could actually defend this. And people always defend this versus Hi-Fi Rush. I've seen a lot of people attack Hi-Fi Rush over Forspoken. And their defense is, look at the numbers Forspoken pulled in compared to Hi-Fi Rush. Allow me to debunk this. Forspoken was hyped up for years. It was, teasered. There was a lot riding on Forspoken. There was marketing out the wazoo for this thing. Whereas Hi-Fi Rush was a silent drop. No one knew it was coming to the Game Pass until it dropped. And even then, Hi-Fi Rush is so much better than Forspoken. It's more engaging. The characters are likable. Even if they have certain edges to them, they get sanded out by the end of them, and you love everyone by the end of it. It's a great story that, even though it's very simplistic, it's done really well. It's a game that I spend over 100 hours playing, not because I'm a dirty completionist and wanted all the achievements, but because I enjoyed playing it. I loved the flow of the combat, the wittiness of the characters, the fundamentals, the references, to other games and pop cultures. And just so people know, there are JoJo references in that game. I don't see no JoJo's references in Forspoken, and that should be a point deducted right there. But at the end of the day, if I was to score this game, score Forspoken that is, I would give it a 2.5 out of 10. It is all in all a very bad game. It's poorly directioned, it's poorly written. The only redeeming factors are that the graphics look beautiful and that, the voice actors did a really good job with, portraying the voices of the characters. Other than that, everything was crap. It was like going to a buffet and them only having burnt Oreo pizza. Only my brothers are going to get that joke. But still. But when I compare it to Hi-Fi Rush is an 8.5 to 9.5 out of 10 for me. It's not quite perfect. And I mainly blame it because I played it pre-updates. I beat it pre-updates where there weren't any, patches to make timing on quick time events easier or to make parrying on enemy attacks easier. But still, if I had to choose between playing Hi-Fi Rush or Forspoken for the rest of my life, I would choose Hi-Fi Rush. I would choose any game. I would rather play Puyo Puyo Pop Fever to the end of eternity than play Forspoken.